up, y'all? Another episode of Riding Around Rich. It is December 23rd, almost Christmas Eve. Yeah, it's about almost 5 p.m. About to go over to my coworker's place, Ate Joji. Shout out to Ate Joji. Throwing a little Christmas party. We already had our work Christmas party, but not everybody could go. So she's throwing something for all the people that also couldn't go and just, you know, have a nice little time. Quick little update. Had an interview for a nursing job at my hospital, Charlotte Memorial 7 West, a couple days ago. Today is Friday. Had that on Tuesday morning. And yeah, here's a couple pictures. Whew, man, it was a rough, not a rough, it was a stressful, crazy morning. But yeah. So yeah, the interview went well. Afterwards, I kind of was processing everything I said and trying to remember all the questions, and had little doubts here and there, but you know, definitely wasn't perfect, but I feel like I put my best foot forward. I think I did after thinking about everything and processing everything and looking at and remembering my answers to the questions that they asked, I felt like I did a good job. It took me a little while, but initially just walking out, I was just like, ooh, like, okay, but I did well. Yeah. It's exciting. Yeah, 2 out of the 3 on my panel I knew. My manager and my nurse educator on the floor. The new grad manager was also there. She's super nice. Just chatting with some of my classmates about their, you know, they're getting their interviews and trying to see what their experience was, and got another interview set up for a different hospital. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be next month on Zoom, so we'll see. Yeah, just exciting time. Christmas, get to see some family. I'm going to be working this holiday, so get some extra holiday pay and whatnot. I'll be able to see some family. But yeah, the interview was good. They asked me some questions. Literally, instead of the tell me about yourself, it's why did you get into nursing? That's how they started it. And it was about 30 minutes long. Yeah, about the 3 people asked maybe give or take about 3 questions each. And there was a couple of moments where I answered like a nurse assistant, but that's where the majority of my experience is. And then they kind of rephrased it and asked like, okay, like how would you answer as a nurse? So I did that, kind of focused on that after that particular point in time in that interview. And then I remember like just hitting hard on critical thinking. They asked a question about prioritization, so I was kind of talking about that. But yeah, I did talk about like, okay, anticipating certain things, like, okay, like thinking outside the box, critical thinking, not just following the orders, questioning the orders and stuff like this. So felt like I did a good job there. One of the questions that was a no-brainer, or not a no-brainer, but it was just like easy, was, okay, how would you be able to handle knock shift, because that's the only position we have available. And I was like, I'm your fucking guy, been working nights the last 9 years, no fucking question, I'm ready to go. One of the ones that kind of stumped me, not stumped me, but I had to take a moment and think, was tell me your 3-year trajectory. So you always hear about a 5-year plan. So the 3-year trajectory, I was basically said I'm gonna focus on my first year, being a new grad, you know, getting my feet underneath me, getting comfortable as a nurse, getting some experience. And then I did say that I wanna, you know, precept myself and kind of, because I like, not teaching per se, but like training and helping other like people, you know, before. So like I said, that would be something in that first 2-3 years I would want to do, is to, you know, be able to train new grads when I'm at my 3-year mark and they're starting off. Another question they always had, the basic, not the basic, but a pretty one that gets asked a lot, is tell us a time you had with either a patient or a coworker, and you had a disagreement. How did you go about that situation and what was the result, or like how to, you know. So I had a real life scenario that I actually spoke with my manager of. So when I was telling this story, she knew it was true because it happened like 3 weeks ago, and she like said that's a great example. And I kind of went and talked about it. Another one was name a problem that you've seen on the floor or just like at work, and what did you do about it, and what was the result. So like I kind of used the example about suggesting, I don't know if it was me, somebody suggested it, and I kind of backed it up and kind of made plan to make that happen. But we had during COVID, we had sitter patients where you have to watch a patient one-on-one, and you know, people staying in one room for the whole shift was very like, oh, like people didn't want to do it. So we ended up proposing an idea to where the nurse assistants on the floor would go in for 3 or 4 hours and then switch and then rotate. So that was kind of like we saw a problem, we made a suggestion, and we did it, and it worked out, and it helped everybody. What was the other questions? The one that got me where I kind of had to think was name a time, whether in school or whatever, you thought about or saw evidence-based practice and how was it implemented and stuff like this. So kind of just went over like the importance of evidence-based practice, like okay, doing research, taking data, and you know, trying to suggest a plan and making like, and then collecting more data to see if it works. And I think I did okay there. I used an example about weights and congestive heart failure patients that we have on our floor. So I think they took that question okay, but it was just a very like, I wasn't ready for that question. I was like, oh, where's this dang, what else did they ask me? It's all a blur. So it's like this is what I was doing the first like 3 hours after my interview. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, I think I did well. Like I did well. What else did I ask? But then the questions that I had for them, okay, so I asked about the new grad program, what kind of classes, if it's different classes for PCU, acute care. I asked about a certain credential that a lot of nurses have, and if I would be able to be eligible for it after working, PCCN for progressive care unit nurses. It's like a extra, basically like another certificate. And then I always like to ask like, okay, something personal that has them talk about themselves. I think I asked like, oh, like when you have a stressful day or you feel burnt out, what is something that you do for self-care to help keep yourself sane and keep yourself motivated to keep going back to work and whatnot. So overall, I mean, it's all done. It was real like waiting, getting there, just the whole process, getting all my portfolio together. All this was pretty crazy. And then just kind of just being in the scene, like trying to make eye contact with everybody and whatnot, you know, just smiling but I had a mask on. It's just like it was a surreal experience. Happy the first one is done. I might have 1 or 2 more left, but yeah, happy to say a day or 2 later I got a missed call, called them back, I got a job offer. So as of right now, I am scheduled to be a nurse. I just have to pass my tests and I have a job waiting for me. So that is I got a little, after I got off the phone and I didn't accept right away. I had just like one of those moments, like back a couple years ago before getting to nursing school, I passed my TEAS test, and that was like a big hoop, and I take a deep breath and kind of thought about everything I've been through, the journey and the struggles. And then when I got the news I got into nursing school, that was another big step where I like just took a moment and kind of just like, think about everything that I've done, and it's crazy, man. I'm proud of myself. I don't ever get to really say that a lot, but it's like, and then I know I had to give some thank you texts to all the people, coworkers, friends, classmates, family that have just been there, like every time I need to talk or talk about school or work, and they got my back. And yeah, I'm another step closer to you know, being a nurse and working as a nurse. But gotta pass his boards, pass his NCLEX, but yeah, I got a job waiting for me. So it's crazy. I'm happy to report. I'll probably put a couple clips here at the little Christmas party with my coworkers. Yeah, it'll be cool. But thank you guys for tuning in and watching RAWR Rich.